Today, I wanted to go over managed service providers, what that means, who it's for, the downfalls, and the benefits. And then maybe answer some questions as if maybe you're wondering if it's good for your company or as if it's good for you as a job. So, firstly, MSP stands for managed service provider. What they do is they offer IT services to companies that do not want to hire an IT staff or can't afford to. It's something to that nature. Maybe just looking for help. The way it works is I've seen two models, and there may be more, but this is the one I'm most familiar with. There's a monthly fee model where you're going to pay a monthly fee that's agreed upon for IT services through a contract, tells you what you get and everything. And it's that monthly fee every month, whether you use the service a lot or not, almost not at all. And obviously, the benefit to the MSP in that scenario is that you don't use it as much, and that those employees of the MSP hours can be spent on other clients while just earning money from you doing nothing. So in order to combat that, I guess other MSPs have now come up, or maybe it's always been a thing, but with what I would call a pool of hours. And this supposedly doesn't allow waste of your money. So you only use the hours you need, right? So let me tell you about that, how that operates. A company comes in, says they need some IT work done, or maybe just needs IT managed, like for alerting or whatnot. And so we're gonna sell you 500 hours of IT services a month, and here's your fee for that. And it may sound like that's a good thing, but let me explain to you why it's a bad thing. A pool of hours, it sounds good until you run out. So then you have to buy more, right? So you could easily, and it's not a monthly fee. If I have said that, let me correct myself. I believe you just pay for this pool of hours, and as soon as you run out, you got to buy more. So where this becomes a problem is employees of an MSP, engineers, project workers, all of them, you're always required to bill at least 8 hours a day. You gotta paint your board green, is ConnectWise terminology. You have to bill 8 hours a day. Now, and especially on days when it's slow, what do? Well, your hours got to be put somewhere. So let's just say you take a little bit more time on a couple of tickets here and there to get your 8 hours as an engineer. And I'm assuming, I've seen some of the logs. People abuse it quite a lot. So those hours run out, you're buying more. And so here's where it gets tricky. The companies will push back on this saying, we don't want to pay for 2 hours of service this day that they did. It shouldn't have taken that long. So now the MSP comes back to the worker saying, why did it take this long? And it's like, you told me I had to bill 8 hours. And it becomes a whole thing, and it's really just a bad environment, in my opinion. So it's bad for employers, I believe, just because the pool of hours is going to get abused, and you're going to have to contest everything to get your money back. And honestly, the work you're going to be getting is going to be from stressed out engineers that are more concerned with how they're billing their time than actually doing the work, right? It's more stressful. You end up doing more in billing than you are in actual IT work. It's crazy, in my opinion. So, and to continue on, why I think this is bad for engineers. So as an engineer, you have this like big brother like feeling. They're always looking over your shoulder. They want to know what you're doing every minute of every day. Is that an exaggeration? Yes, it is. But they want to see you bill 8 hours a day. And if you take time away, you have to enter in your admin time. What were you doing there? Chatting with your coworker? Got to be documented. So it's super, super micromanagement. It's terrible for an employee. I think it's just too much. As I mentioned, you got more stress over the billing aspect and getting your hours right and getting 8 hours, but not billing too much on certain things. It's just way more than what it needs to be. And it doesn't really reward your IT skills as much as it does, like how to manage time. And then speaking of not rewarding, the whole feeling that you get from MSP, you don't go home at the end of the day and feel like, wow, I did a great job. Like I used my skills and I gave people good, honest work. You go home and you feel like, man, like, I got my 8 hours in. That's all that matters in the MSP world. And then, there's much more things you run into. There's a lack of documentation as an employee. So, you have 50-something clients, hypothetically. Where do you start? You don't know this network. You're not familiar with it. It's one of 50. So let's go to the documentation. The switch is down. Let me find the network diagram. Where's that at? Oh, we don't have one. So that's just one start. Oh, how do we need to log into the switch to upgrade the firmware? Where's the password? We don't have it. So that part is super frustrating. And then lastly, I'd say as an employee of an MSP, I've seen the turnover rate there is extremely high. And it's high for a couple of reasons, but the first being that anyone that comes in outside of MSP that doesn't know what they're getting into is not going to stick around. It's going to be too micromanaged for 99% of people outside of MSP. Secondly, it's just because they abuse these workers. It's like Jedi mind tricks. Don't overbill the client, but bill 8 hours. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you're giving me two messages here. What do you do? So all that said, I don't want to say that all MSP is bad. I can think of a few examples where I think MSP could be useful. And, if you have a reduced staff and you have a very wide network with multiple, firewalls, services in different cities, you could use an MSP to monitor and handle the ISP portion of your service. So let's just say I got a Las Vegas office and I want to make sure that it doesn't go down. And if it does, that we get a tech dispatched. Now, do you that's different time zones and then you're over here in New York or wherever. So you can hire MSP to handle that for you. The site goes down, they'll contact you, let you know, and they'll get a tech dispatched on the site for you. And you don't really have to do anything. I could see that being really useful. That's a great service, in my opinion. It keeps you off the phone with the ISP, to get a tech dispatched and everything, and you can focus on bigger projects. To that regard, I could say I know of one I've worked with that I would recommend, Masergy, and I would be one of my recommendations. They actually do that exact service, and they handle it very well. They're very helpful, detail organized, and they'll handle it all for you. Could recommend them. That's a good usage of MSP, in my opinion. Secondly, another recommendation I would like to give is Logic Monitor. If you haven't heard of it, you need to look it up. It's a network monitoring software. It's the best one I've used. It's better than SolarWinds. Hasn't been hacked yet. It's better than PRTG. Any of the ConnectWise, Kaseya tools. It's, in my opinion, the top monitoring software. Would definitely give that a thumbs up. As far as that, I think that's pretty much everything I had to say about it. Now, if it's helped you in any way, feel free to hit a thumbs up, subscribe. If you disagree with me, feel free to leave a comment or share your experience in the comments. Tell me how you think MSP is or how it was for you. And also, if you have any questions, let me know and I'll be sure to reply. But I hope it was useful and I hope it was informative. And if you guys have a good day.